All right. Hello, my grots and gits. I'm freaking excited about the Librarius Conclave. Now, here's the deal, guys. We're going to be dumping you with content for the next, a lot of days because we had the entire balance data slate, which completely revamped the entire Space Marine line today. We had points changes. We had tons of crazy changes. But this is just the detachment change for the Grotmus detachments for the Space Marines. A lot of people are going to tell you that this is crap. It's not. There's actually some really cool stuff in here. I'm not going to say it's going to be top of the meta competitive, but you will absolutely be able to bring this to a tournament and do well with it. It is going to require very different army builds than what you've previously done, though. So I'm actually really excited to dive into this one. Now, if you're looking for all the Space Marine changes from the balance data slate, I've done a live stream earlier today that you can go and check out. But I'm also going to consolidate all of that into an individual video that's going to make it much more clear, where I'm not like having to read through everything for you. So be on the lookout for that as well. So let's go ahead and start checking out this Librarius Conclave, which honestly I'm pretty pumped about this. Let's do it, man. So the detachment rule is going to be psychic disciplines. Psychic disciplines is going at the way it works is at the start of your battle round, select one of the following psychic disciplines. Until the end of the battle round, that psychic discipline is active and its effects apply to all Adeptus Astartes Psyker units from your army. So this will be anyone with a Psyker keyword, mainly librarians, but it's also going to apply to units that happen to be attached to librarians, right? So there is a fairly amount of expansive uses. And right off the bat, one of the things that you can go ahead and understand is that a lot of your non-codex compliant chapters, your blood angels, you're going to have like your dark angels. Ezekiel, for example, is a leader. He's a librarian who has different librarian abilities. Tigerius, if you're playing an Ultramarines, he leads a squad and he's a librarian, so he's going to give them the Psyker keyword. You can really get the Psyker keyword on quite a bunch of units between having, normal librarians and then having Phobos librarians and then having librarians and Terminator armor. It's not that challenging to get a lot of these keywords spread out to your key units in the army. All right, so here are the disciplines. You get to choose one every single battle round. Biomancy discipline. Add 2 inches to the move characteristic of models in this unit. Where would this be good? Bro, Terminators that are led by a librarian, for example, suddenly those bad boys are moving 7 and they're not moving 5. That's not bad. Divination discipline. Or actually, let's back up. Biomancy discipline again. What else would that be good on? Chief Librarian Mephiston if you're running Blood Angels, right? Because he moves 7, he gets +2 to move, and he already has advanced charge baked in. That's pretty dang solid. Then you have the Divination discipline. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1. So all of your Psyker keyword units in the army will get to reroll hits and wound rolls of 1. This could be actually very, very powerful, especially when you consider, let's say, like Terminators, who are going to be, if they're led by a Terminator and a Librarian in Terminator armor, they're going to get sustained hits. So now they're rerolling hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. Power Fist rerolling wound rolls of 1 is a pretty damn good rule. Rerolling hit rolls of 1 will also help you start to get some more sustained hits in there as well. So it's actually very, very interesting. Then you have the Pyromancy discipline. This is a very powerful one. Each time a ranged attack made by a model in this unit targets an enemy unit within 12 inches, improve the armor penetration characteristic of said attack by 1. This is very, very powerful. So let's say that we were running, I don't know. Oh, Infernus Marines, right? Infernus Marines now have an AP characteristic of 1. If we can get a Librarian leading them or a Psyker keyword on them, and there's various ways that we could do that, now they go to AP 2 with their Pyroblasters, also causing battle shocks. So there's ways to actually make this quite good. Then we have the Telekinesis discipline. Each time a ranged attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the strength characteristic of the attack. That seems generally bad, but there might be scenarios where it could be useful. Then we have the Telepathy discipline. This is the last discipline you get to choose. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you get to ignore any or all modifiers to weapon skill, ballistic skill, and characteristics and modifiers to the hit roll. This can be very, very useful against, say, like Death Guard, who can, modify your weapon skills. So there's times where that can be useful. The cool thing about this is that it's going to give you flexibility to change based off of what you need. Now, there are some misses in this detachment, which is why I'm not thinking that it's going to be like a top competitive, but there's plenty of play here that's going to allow you to run it well at a GT if you want to. So let's talk about some of these enhancements that are also some cool, some eh. So let's talk about the first one, which is Prescience. It'll be 25 points. Adeptus Astartes Psyker model only, and excluding Terminator models. That's the problem with this enhancement. It should have been the whole excluding Terminator models is an issue. Once per turn, and this is cool that it says per turn, not per battle round. When an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches of the bearer's unit, the bearer's unit can make a normal move of up to d6 inches, or up to 6 inches instead if the divination discipline is active for your army. Why is it cool that it's worded per turn and not per battle round? This means that using this ability, you can actually react to your opponent's reactive movements. So if your opponent has a reactive movement that ends within 6 of you, or within 9 of you, suddenly you get to do a reactive movement in your turn to your opponent's reactive movement. So there are actually cool things that you can do with that enhancement. Next enhancement, Celerity. Adeptus Astartes Psyker, model only. The bearer's unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced. Advance a charge, very solid. If the Biomancy discipline is active for your turn, it's also eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it fell back. Okay. There aren't that many melee Space Marine units that you would really want this on, I think. Your Assault Marines might kind of like this, but it's kind of an issue, right? Blade Guard vets already have a 4 invulnerable save, and you can get them Advance and Charge in Gladius or Stormlance. So I think this, while it's like it's a cool sounding one, I just don't think it's very good. Because any way that you can get Advance and Charge on the units that want to Advance and Charge, you can get it better in another detachment. So I just don't really think that's a good enhancement. Then we have Obfuscation for 20 points. Adeptus Astartes Psyker model. Enemy units cannot use fire Overwatch. It's very solid. Very, very nice to not be able to have people fire Overwatch at you. I cannot tell you how many, listen, dude. I was running a game where I was playing Chaos Space Marines, and I had 2 Forge Fiends, and I was running triple ACDC, and I also had Abaddon to give reroll hit rolls. And my freaking Forge Fiend on Overwatch killed it was 9 I think it was I was actually playing a mirror match against Chaos Space Marines, but I killed 9 Chosen who all have 3 wounds each on the Overwatch. If it was against Terminators, that would have killed probably 3 to 4 Terminators on an Overwatch, which would just be game altering. So having the ability to not be Overwatch is actually quite cool. And if the telepathy discipline is active for your army, your bearer's unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless the attacking model is within 18. This can also just be quite useful. Generally, 18 inches can be fairly easy to get within range of, but what it can do is it can force your opponent to position in a place where they really don't want to position. Then we have the Fusillade, which is the last enhancement, and this is going to be for 15 points. Adeptus Astartes Psyker model only. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the Anti-Monster 5 and Anti-Vehicle 5 abilities. And you get Sustained Hits 1 if Pyromancy is active. And remember, what Pyromancy is it's also going to give you +1 AP when you're within 12. And then, or you could also get an additional 6 inches to the range characteristic of the weapons if Telekinesis is active. And Telekinesis is the thing that will subtract strength from the attacks that are targeting you. So Fusillade, I can think of times where that might be convenient. It's not like a game-changing enhancement, but it seems relatively reasonable. Let's look at some of these strats. We've got this Sensory Assault. Command phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit from your army. Select 1 enemy unit that's within 18 inches of and visible to 1 Psyker model in your unit. Until the start of your next turn, that enemy unit is pinned. When a unit is pinned, they're -2 to move and charge. Okay. In addition, if the telepathy discipline is active for your army, that enemy unit must take a battle shock test, subtracting -1. This sucks. I really wish it was in the move phase and not the command phase. If it was in the move phase, you'd actually be able to move and set it up. But in the command phase, I'm not a big fan. All right, Iron Arm. So it doesn't suck, but it loses a lot of utility being relegated to the command phase and not the movement phase. Let's talk about the Iron Arm. This is in the fight phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes Infantry unit. And as long as the infantry unit is within 18 inches of a Adeptus Astartes Psyker model, until the end of the phase, you get to add +1 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. Or you get to add +2 if Biomancy discipline is active for your unit. Now this can open up some interesting combos. So let's say that we just have a librarian leading our freaking Blade Guard. Can that even happen? Or hell, librarian leading Terminators, right? Because, yeah, let's say we have librarian leading Terminators, okay? And this librarian has the advance and charge strat, or enhancement. So suddenly your freaking Terminators can move 7 with advance and charge, which legit is pretty darn solid. They get into combat, and then you also add +2 to the strength of them, because now those Power Fists are going up to strength 10 this actually can start to get a little spicy. So there are some interesting little cool combinations that you can build in this detachment. Let's look at the armor contempt, which armor contempt get a huge nerf this in this data slate. So I really think it's an issue for Space Marine armies in particular, where every single detachment has an armor contempt stratagem. And now we know that armor contempt is honestly just kind of a bad stratagem now. It really kind of sucks for all Space Marines, to be honest with you. Like, they probably should have replaced the armor contempt stratagem with something else, because that's kind of like now you're playing with 5 stratagems and 1 half stratagem. Let's talk about the Assail strat. We have, in your shooting phase, 1 Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit from your army that is eligible to shoot. You get to select 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of and visible to the Psyker, as long as it does not have the Lone Up ability. And then you roll 6d6, and you get to add 1 to each result if Telekinesis Discipline is active for your army, and for every 4-up, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So basically, it's an 18-inch grenade. And Telekinesis is the bad discipline that you're never going to use. So it's basically an 18-inch long grenade strat, which can be quite useful. Then we have Fiery Shield. Fiery Shield, fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. You get to select 1 infantry or mounted unit that's within 18 inches of a Psyker model. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's cool. So you can just be like, all right, you're -1 to hit on demand. And if the Pyromancy discipline, that's the one that adds +1 to your AP when you're within 12 inches, which is probably one of the ones that you're typically going to be using. Weapons that target your unit have the hazardous ability. So your opponent can just like lose their models because they decided to target you at -1. That's actually a fairly solid stratagem. Then the last one we have is the Prescient Precision. Your shooting phase. 1 Adeptus Astartes Psyker unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, they have lethal hits and ignore cover if you have Divination. And Divination is the reroll hit rolls and wound rolls of 1. Now, this is a detachment that is super flavorful. I think they missed a little bit. It would have been really nice had they given us a stratagem to put you in a different discipline or an enhancement that could let you benefit from 2 disciplines. So they missed a few things on this, but it's super flavorful, and I think it's probably going to be better than people expect. It's not going to be top of the food chain when it comes to detachments, but it is cool. It gives you a unique way to play, and I'd be willing to bet that if you master when you should choose which discipline, you're going to be able to do some things that people are not expecting with. So I'd like to hear how you guys decide to build this detachment out. I'm going to rate this one like maybe towards the bottom middle of the Grotmis detachment packs, but it is super cool. So let me know your thoughts on it, and I'll be back to you later today because, man, there's just so much freaking stuff we got to talk about with all these balance status slate changes. We'll be back. All right, bye-bye.